If you think grocery shopping today is the same as a few months ago, you may have already missed what is really happening. Because it is not just prices going up. You are paying more every week for less, without even realizing it. Package sizes are shrinking, quality is shifting, and familiar options are slowly disappearing, all happening just slowly enough that you do not react in time. In this video, you will discover 12 grocery items you should buy before April 1st, 2026. Not because they will disappear overnight, but because if you wait, you will pay more for the same thing, or no longer have a good option at all. And there is one item at number 7, extremely familiar, but also the one changing the fastest on store shelves. And most people only realize it after it has clearly become more expensive. Watch until the end, because this is no longer about shopping. It is about whether you still control your money or are slowly losing it day by day. 12. Beef last week. The same cut of beef you bought for around $12. This week it could be $14 or more. And the dangerous part is not that the price is rising. The dangerous part is, you begin to accept not buying it anymore. Beef prices have increased by about 5% to 14% in a short period, making it one of the fastest rising food categories. But if you think this is just normal price fluctuation, then you are looking at the problem the wrong way. With beef, the shift does not start from empty shelves. It starts from your decision. The reasons are clear. Livestock costs are rising, fuel costs are rising, transportation costs are rising. But there is one detail many people overlook. Feed alone accounts for more than 60% of total cattle production costs. When corn and soybean prices go up, beef has almost no way to stay affordable. And there is something few people know. Many cattle today are being slaughtered earlier than usual. Not because there is a shortage, but because keeping them for a few more months means losing money. You do not see those costs, but you are paying for them every week. And that is when the domino effect begins. When beef becomes more expensive, you do not stop eating meat. You just switch to something cheaper, like chicken. And when millions of people do the same thing, the prices of those alternative options start rising too. From one product, it spreads across the entire system. But the scary part is, you will not realize it is happening. And by the time you do, you have already gotten used to not buying it anymore. You still go to the grocery store every week, still walk past the meat section, still see the exact cut you used to buy. But this time, you pick it up, look at the price, and put it back. Not because it is gone, not because there is no supply, but because a small thought begins to appear in your mind. Is it worth it? And once that thought repeats a few times, your habit has already changed. Beef does not disappear first. What disappears first is your choice. And when you start skipping it again and again, that is when the system has already shifted, without anyone telling you. And maybe you are not the only one starting to leave beef out of your cart. When was the last time you picked up a cut of meat and put it back? Many people are starting to change, not by eating less, but by buying earlier. 11. Coffee. If tomorrow morning you do not have coffee, will you be okay? Not because you want it, but because your body is already used to it. And that is when you start to realize, coffee is not just a drink, it is a habit that is hard to replace. Coffee prices are clearly rising, in some places up 15 to 25% recently. But what is unusual is that demand is barely dropping. According to agricultural reports, global coffee production is being affected by extreme weather. Prolonged drought in Brazil, unusual heavy rains in Colombia, and climate disruptions in many growing regions, reducing yields significantly. On top of that, transportation costs are rising and supply chains are being disrupted. But there is one detail many people overlook. A coffee tree takes 3 to 5 years to produce stable yields. That means when supply drops, it cannot recover quickly. This is not something that will stabilize in a few months. You do not see those shifts, but you are paying for them every day, and you will keep paying, even if the price continues to rise. One viewer commented that I did not notice the price increase until I checked at the end of the month. My coffee spending was higher than my breakfast. And this is when the system begins to react. Coffee prices go up, but people do not stop. This is one of the few products where the more expensive it becomes, the less people want to give it up. When demand stays the same, there is almost no reason for prices to come down. When coffee prices rise, cafes are forced to adjust. And when cafe prices increase, your daily cup is no longer as cheap as before. Gradually, you begin to realize something. Your cost of living is being pushed up by something that seems so small. But the scary part is, you will not notice it right away. And by the time you do, you have already adapted to the new price. And from that point on, the old price does not come back. The scenario is simple. Your mornings stay the same. You still brew coffee, still drink it as usual. Nothing changes, but at the end of the month, when you review your spending, you start to see it clearly. You are paying more for the same habit. And as prices continue to rise, people start looking for alternatives. Tea, instant coffee, or diluting it to make it last longer. But in reality, very few people quit entirely. They just adjust to continue. This is not something that disappears from your life. This is something that stays and quietly takes your money every day. And when you think you are still in control, it may actually be controlling you. Do you know how much you are spending on coffee each month? 10. Milk and butter, have you noticed? The same basket as last week, but the total is higher this time? Not because you bought more, but because some items are increasing in ways that are hard to notice. Milk and butter are two of them. Prices in this category are not spiking like beef, but rising in a more dangerous way, slowly and without stopping. Some areas report increases of around 4 to 8% recently, and the trend shows no sign of reversing. The reasons lie in underlying costs you do not see. Livestock expenses are rising, feed prices are rising, cold storage costs are rising, and especially electricity, the very thing that keeps milk and butter from spoiling, is becoming more expensive. Milk is one of the few products that must remain refrigerated continuously from the moment it leaves the farm until it reaches your home. Even a small increase in energy costs affects the entire chain. You do not see that system, but you are paying for it every time you shop, and you will keep paying, even if you change nothing. And this is the point many people overlook. Milk does not have time to wait. It must be processed and transported almost immediately. That means any cost increase goes straight into the final price with no buffer to absorb it. The domino effect starts here. When milk prices rise, related products follow. Cheese, butter, yogurt, ice cream all move up at the same time. Not because they are scarce, but because their base costs have changed. The problem is, you do not notice it right away. You still shop the same way, buying the same items. By the time you realize, the new price has already become normal. The pattern is familiar. You go to the store, buy exactly what you always buy. Nothing extra, nothing different. But at checkout, you begin to see it. The total is higher. Not by much, but repeated over time, it becomes significant. I did not buy anything extra, but my weekly bill kept rising. That is when I started paying attention to milk prices. This is not the kind of increase that makes you stop immediately. You do not change anything, but the money you keep each month is changing. When was the last time you felt like your basket stayed the same, but your total went up? You are not buying more, but you are getting poorer, week by week. 9. Bread and wheat, a small loaf of bread, should only cost a few dollars. But if you look closely, its price is changing faster than you think. And what makes this important is not that it is getting more expensive, it is that the most basic item depends on the most variables. Prices of wheat-based products have increased around 6 to 12% recently, and this category is directly affected by the entire system behind it. Unlike other foods, bread does not stand alone. It sits at the center of the production chain, where even a small shift pulls everything else with it. Why is that? To make a loaf of bread, you need wheat. But to grow wheat, you need fertilizer. And to produce fertilizer, you need energy. Then comes fuel for transportation, factories for milling flour, and distribution systems to deliver it to stores. You do not see those layers, but you are paying for them every time you buy bread. And there is one detail most people do not know. There have been times when fertilizer prices increased by more than 30% within just a few months. When that happens, the cost of growing wheat rises immediately. No announcement, no warning. It simply flows straight into the final price. The price of bread is not always determined by wheat, but by the cost of the fertilizer used to grow it. You will not see it happening until it already has. You still buy bread like you always do. But for the first time, you start looking at the price. A small loaf, but the price is no longer small. When the most basic things begin to change, it is no longer about just one item. When was the last time you really looked at the price of a loaf of bread? 8. Chicken and low-cost protein. Everyone thinks there is always a cheaper option, but if everyone chooses that option, it will not stay cheap. When beef prices rise sharply, consumers react almost instantly. They switch to chicken. And when large numbers of people do that, demand increases very quickly. At certain times, chicken prices can rise 5 to 10% within just a few weeks. Not because of shortage, but because too many people are choosing it at once. The reason is not only behavior, it is also production cost. The poultry industry depends heavily on industrial feed such as corn and soybeans. And there is something many people overlook. Feed can account for more than 60% of the cost of raising chickens. When corn prices rise, chicken prices have almost no way to stay the same. You do not see those movements, but you will see the result. You switch to chicken to save money. But you are not the only one thinking that way. And that is when everything begins to change. I switched to chicken because beef was too expensive. But a few weeks later, I realized chicken prices had gone up too. Not because it is scarce, but because too many people are searching for the same escape at the same time. A chicken today can reach market weight in just a few weeks, much faster than before. And after just a few weeks, you realize you are back at the same point, but with a new price. You are not finding a cheaper option. You are just following the crowd, and the crowd always pushes prices up. Have you ever switched to something cheaper, only to see it rise in price too? 7. Canned foods. You might think this is one of the safest items in the store. It does not spoil easily. It does not require complex storage. And most importantly, it is always cheap. But if you look closely lately, the price of canned goods is changing in ways many people do not notice. This category is not becoming more expensive because of the food inside. It is rising because of what you cannot see. Metal packaging, can production costs, and transportation all are increasing. When metal prices rise, each can become more expensive. And when millions of cans increase in cost, that expense does not disappear. It moves straight onto the shelf. It is not the food that is expensive. It is the can. And there is something many people overlook. Global conflicts and tensions are directly affecting metal supply. Steel and aluminum, the main materials used to produce cans, both depend on energy and international supply chains. When disruptions occur, energy costs rise, transportation is interrupted, and supply tightens. You do not see conflict in the grocery store, but you are paying for it in every can. There is another detail. Producing metal cans consumes a large amount of energy. When energy prices rise, which often happens during unstable periods, packaging costs increase immediately. And unlike many other industries, canned goods cannot avoid this cost. Canned food supply does not disappear overnight. Shelves still look full. But the system behind them is under pressure. As costs rise, producers have no choice but to adjust prices. And when prices go up, items once seen as cheap storage solutions begin to change. A can of food may still be within its expiration date, but can still be ruined, simply because it is placed directly on concrete. You walk into the store. Everything is still there. But this time, you look closer. A can of soup, a can of beans, a can of fish, all the same. But the price is not the same anymore. What used to be something you bought for peace of mind is slowly becoming something you have to think about. And when the things you rely on for storage start to change, it is no longer a small issue. Do you still buy canned food without looking at the price like before? 6. Bottled water and juice. You will not see water disappear from the shelves. It is still there, fully stocked, neatly arranged as always. But if you look closely, the price is changing in a way that is hard to notice. This is not a story about water. This is a story about the system behind it. Bottled water and juice prices depend heavily on plastic and transportation. And plastic, in reality, is made from oil. When oil prices rise, the cost of producing plastic bottles rises with it. And when transportation costs increase, every case of water becomes more expensive to deliver to you. You are not buying oil, but you are paying for it every time you buy water. There is one detail many people overlook. Bottled water is one of the products with low profit margins, but high transportation costs. That means even a small increase in fuel costs forces retail prices to adjust quickly. Water supply itself is not lacking, but the system behind it is under pressure. When oil rises, plastic rises. When plastic rises, packaging rises. When transportation rises, the final price you pay rises as well. There is no stage that can absorb the cost. You will not notice this change immediately. You still buy the same way every week. Nothing seems different. But after a month, when you look back, you start to realize, for the same amount of water, you are paying more. Some things do not rise fast enough for you to react, but because of that, they rise steadily and almost never stop. Do you remember the last time you saw water priced the way it used to be? 5. Fresh vegetables. Fresh vegetables are the category you think you understand the most. But in reality, this is the most unpredictable one. Vegetable prices do not move in a straight line. They do not rise gradually like milk or water. They change week by week, sometimes even day by day. At times, the price of certain vegetables can jump 20% to 50% after just one period of bad weather. The reason comes down to two things you cannot control: weather and transportation. A heavy rain, a drought, or a stretch of abnormal temperatures all can reduce supply immediately. And because fresh vegetables cannot be stored for long, the system has no time to adjust. There is one detail many people overlook. Fresh vegetables have an extremely short life cycle. That means from harvest to the moment you buy them, there is only a very small window. If supply is disrupted, prices react almost instantly. You do not have to wait long to see it. Last week, prices were normal. This week, the same vegetables cost significantly more. No warning, no early signs. You still buy vegetables, but you are no longer sure how much you will pay next time. This is the category where you have no time to prepare. By the time you realize prices are rising, they already have. Have you ever gone to the store and been surprised by vegetable prices that week? 4. Fruit. You might think fruit is just the sweet version of vegetables, but in reality, it is far more unstable. Not because it spoils easily, but because it depends on things you cannot control, and those things are changing very quickly. Fruit prices do not rise gradually. They are not like milk or water. They do not climb step by step for you to adapt. At times, some fruits can increase 20% to 60% within just a few weeks. And the key point is, you usually only notice after everything has already changed. The reason comes down to two things: seasonality and transportation. Fruit depends entirely on weather. A frost, a drought, or simply longer than usual rain all can immediately reduce supply. And unlike many other foods, fruit does not have long-term storage. There is no time to wait, no system to hold it back. When production drops, supply drops instantly. There is one detail many people overlook. Most of the fruit you buy does not come from nearby. It travels hundreds, even thousands of miles before reaching the store. That means even a small increase in transportation costs or a disruption in supply chains causes prices to react almost immediately. No delay, no buffer. You do not see that journey, but you are paying for it every time you pick up a piece of fruit. And when supply drops, prices do not rise slowly. They jump. A fruit may still be fully stocked today, but a few days later, you come back and it is gone. I once went to the store to buy the same fruit I always buy every week, but that time, it was not there. Not because it was expensive, not because I did not want it, but because it had completely disappeared. A few days later, when I returned, it showed up again. Same type, same appearance. But the price was different, and the feeling was different. You start to realize something. You do not control the price of these items. You only react to it. You still buy fruit, but you are no longer sure how much you will pay next time. And that is the real problem. Some things do not disappear slowly. They disappear first, then come back later, with a price that makes you think. And when you start thinking about the price of things that used to feel normal, that is when the system has already changed. Have you ever returned to the store and could not find what you bought just last week? 3. Candy and chocolate, you might ignore it. You might think it is not important. But this is the category where you will notice change first, even before essential items. Candy and chocolate are not necessary for survival, but they react extremely fast to raw material price changes. Recently, cocoa prices have at times increased more than 30 to 40%, and that has impacted the entire chocolate industry. The reason is not just demand, it is supply. Cocoa is grown only in certain regions of the world. When weather conditions worsen, yields drop, or supply chains are disrupted, supply tightens very quickly. And when that happens, prices have little choice but to rise. But what is interesting is, you do not see the price increase immediately. Manufacturers have another way. They keep the price but reduce the size, and you do not realize you are paying more until you pick it up. You still see the same familiar chocolate bar. Same packaging, same price. Nothing has changed on the surface. But when you pick it up and instantly know something is not right. Not because you are looking for differences, but because the difference is big enough that you cannot ignore it. I once picked up a chocolate bar I had bought many times before, and my first reaction was not to look at the price. It was, why does it feel lighter? That is when you start to understand. Price is not always shown in numbers. You still buy it. But you start paying attention. You start comparing. And you begin to realize, for the same money, you are getting less. Nothing disappears, but it changes. And by the time you notice, you have already gotten used to receiving less for the same amount of money. You are not being charged more. You are just getting less, without being told. Do you still believe prices are not rising just because you are paying the same amount? 2. Sugar, you may not buy much sugar. You may think it is not important. But if there is one thing that quietly appears in almost everything you consume, it is sugar. Sugar prices do not rise in a noticeable way. It does not create the same shock as meat or vegetables. But recently, sugar prices have increased around 5 to 7%. And the key point is that it does not stand alone. It moves with everything else. The reason lies in production and transportation costs. Sugar depends on agriculture, weather, energy for processing, and distribution systems. When fuel prices rise, when production costs increase, sugar prices follow. Not fast, but steadily. There is one detail many people overlook. Sugar is not just in the bag you buy. It is in baked goods, in soft drinks, in sauces, in packaged foods, in things you consume every day without thinking about it. You may not buy sugar often, but you are paying for it every day. And this is where things become dangerous. When sugar prices rise, it does not stop at one product. It spreads. Candy increases. Beverages increase. Processed foods increase. You do not see one big jump. You see many small changes, all at once. You will not see it happening directly. You do not walk into the store thinking sugar is more expensive. But you will start to notice something. Your total bill is rising in multiple places. I did not buy anything extra, but my spending kept increasing. That is how sugar works. Not loud, not obvious, but always present. You still drink coffee, you still eat sweets, you still buy familiar items, but you do not realize that part of the cost inside them is slowly increasing. This is something you do not see, but you are always paying for it. And because you do not notice it, you have no way to avoid it. Have you ever wondered how much of your bill comes from something you never even think about? 1. Dry foods. You might think this is the most stable category. Rice, pasta, dried beans, things that are always there, always stocked, always available. And most of the time, that is true. But because of that, this is also the most dangerous category when disruption happens. Prices of dry foods usually do not fluctuate much under normal conditions. But when instability appears, war, crisis, supply chain disruptions, consumer behavior changes immediately. And that is when the system starts to come under pressure. The issue is not that production is insufficient. It is that demand increases faster than supply can respond. When signs of instability appear, people do not wait. They buy early. They stock up. And when millions of people do that at the same time, shelf inventory cannot stay the same. There is one very important detail. The food distribution system operates on continuous flow, not large reserves. That means full shelves. Do not mean full warehouses behind them. It only means products are being delivered just in time. And when that flow is disrupted or drained by sudden demand, everything changes very quickly. You may see shelves full today. Everything looks normal. No signs of trouble. But once a wave of buying begins, tomorrow can look very different. I have seen this happen, not in a movie, but in real life. One day, everything was full. The next day, some shelves started to empty, and within just a few days, the most basic items were no longer there. Not because they were rare, but because everyone needed them at the same time. You walk into the store. You are not looking for luxury items. You are looking for the most basic essentials. But those are exactly the items that disappear first. Not because they are scarce, but because everyone needs them at once. And when you realize that, you are no longer shopping the same way. You are trying to catch up. Do you think you will notice early, or only when the shelves start to empty? You can see that everything on this list is familiar. Not rare, not unusual, and not the kind of things you would expect to become a problem first. But what matters is not each item individually, but how all of them are changing at the same time. You are not buying more. You are not changing your habits. But the amount of money you keep each month is getting smaller. And what is important is that most people do not realize this right away. There is no warning. No clear moment where you can say everything started here. It happens gradually, until one day you look back and realize everything is different. Among these items, where have you noticed the biggest change? And have you started adjusting how you shop? Or are you still doing the same as before? Because when the system does not just get more expensive but starts to break, things will not change gradually anymore. They will disappear in just a few hours. In the next video, I will share 12 foods that disappear from stores within the first 6 hours of a power outage, and why the most familiar items vanish the fastest. What do you think will disappear first?